Hello, I'm Lucy from Bookshanks and I'm here today to review A Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. Anyone who saw our mid-year freakouts tag from earlier in the week will have spotted that I might possibly have read and liked this book. I might possibly have given this review an awful lot of hype because actually I really liked this book. I liked this book a lot, and it wasn't one that had been on my radar until a viewer on this channel very kindly said to me, I've just read it, I think you will too. So first up, I should probably say thank you very much to Rich for giving me a heads up about a book that I didn't really know anything about. I think a lot of other people out there might know a lot about this book. It's an Australian novel. It came out earlier in the year over there, I think, or down there, and blew Australia's socks off. It was really successful, won loads and loads of prizes, and now it's sort of filtering out to the rest of the world. And I can totally see why it has been so successful. It follows the life of a young boy called Eli. When we first meet him, he is 12 years old. He lives with his brother August, who is a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and also completely mute. He also lives with his drug-dealing stepfather and complicit former heroin addict mother. Now, when Lyle, his stepfather, is disappeared by the local drugs boss, I mean like properly disappeared, and his mother is sent to jail, Eli and August find themselves living with their estranged father, who is completely and utterly alcoholic and never pretty much leaves the house. And that synopsis, saying it out loud, sounds miserable, doesn't it? It sounds so miserable. But actually, this book is one of the most joyful, uplifting reads I've read in a really long time. And it is thanks to Eli, the central character. Now, legend has it that this is actually based on Trent Dalton's own childhood. He says in interviews that I've read subsequently that it's 50% fact, 50% fiction. You know, it's based, his three brothers are rolled into one August. You know, his mother was a drug addict, and crucially, he was friends, his babysitter was a former murderer, or not former murderer, once you're a murderer, aren't you? Was a famous Australian murderer who spent his time in jail, came to the outside world, and somehow ended up as Trent Dalton's babysitter. And he is also one of the absolutely fabulous characters in this book. Now, we follow Eli from age 12 up to sort of the cusp of adulthood. I think it's about 19, as he's navigating his way through the world with the odds really stacked against him, but asking himself these enormous questions about how he can overcome his circumstances in order to be what he really wants to be more than anything else, which is just a good man. And he looks at all these people around him and asks himself constantly whether they are good people too. And what the novel does so brilliantly, as Eli does this, is challenge our perceptions as well of what it is to be good. You know, can you be a murderer who's broken out of prison, you know, numerous times over the years, but actually also have elements of you that make you a good human being? Can you be an alcoholic father, but also, you know, passionately championing your children and doing the very best for them, despite the odds? And it's really touching the way in which it's done. It's also really clever the way in which it's done, because this book has an incredibly pacey plot. We are taken through sort of, you know, all these years and all these events in a really page-turning way, but also one that draws in elements of magical realism and suspense and all sorts of just like little nitbits from across all different genres, and like rolls them together into this really clever piece of exploration about what it is to be good. I really thought it was really, really well done. The writing is simple to understand, it's simple to follow, but it's also quite surprising because it has these surreal elements and this real philosophical take looking through Eli's point of view. And he takes you sort of, there's a lot of twists actually. There's a lot of turns of fate that are completely unexpected, which again heighten the pace of the novel, keep you moving forward, keeps that momentum, which I really enjoyed. And there's this surreal feeling to it actually as well at the same time, because of this sort of magical element that comes in, which actually, is about Eli's trauma as much as anything else, and about teaching him to take the opportunities that face him. Just thought the book that it reminded me of in many, many ways is Marcus Zuzak's Bridge of Clay, which I read last year, I think, back into last year. Obviously, it's an Australian novel. It's set in sort of small town Australia. It's looking at family dynamics, brotherly relationships in particular, and poverty as well in small town Australia. It has an awful lot of similarities, but what this has that Bridge of Clay didn't have, although looking at similar themes, is humour by the bucket load. And Bridge of Clay did have a lot of warmth in it, but for me, the character of Eli did elevate this above that book. And it sounds crude just going, oh, 2 Australian novels. You don't read that many Australian novels, do you? So let's compare them. But it's not, because actually all the stuff about taking opportunities and what it means to be good and fulfill your duty as a human being and relate to the people that you love have a lot of similarities. So, I'm claiming that one is fine. It's legit. The only criticism that I probably have at the start of the novel, I did keep thinking the Eli's voice, didn't convince me as being from a 12-year-old boy, because he is just so incredibly clever and philosophical and wise, and the way that he looks at things and the way that he talks about them, I was just like, oh, this is not a 12-year-old boy. But he was so fabulous that I kind of let it slide. And then as he got older, I accepted it more and more. And I kept thinking, do you know what? Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird, she never had the voice of a small girl, did she? But she was still absolutely brilliant. And when it's such a good voice, you kind of let it off, really, don't you? And suspend your disbelief for a little bit. So, the good a million times outweighs the bad. And I'm really, really grateful that Rich recommended it to me, because I think it probably is my favourite book of the year so far. In fact, it's probably not really probably about it. It's just the best one, because, despite looking at all these enormous issues, which I love in fiction, I just felt so hopeful by the end of it. And I think books that can look at such deep issues but lift you up at the same time just are, they're a special thing, aren't they? They're a special thing. Oh, look, it's a hugger. It's a hugger. Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. Read it. I mean, he doesn't need the sales. International bestseller. But it's good. It's definitely worth it all the same. That's it. Don't have anything else to say. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any other great recommendations, please do send them my way. Other than that, I hope you're having a fabulous week. Please do tell me what you're reading, and I shall be back soon. Thank you. Bye.